All right. Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well today. Trying to share my screen here. There we go. All right, cool. All right, so hope everybody's doing well. I did actually try to do this yesterday, and it turned out to be kind of a mess, actually, if I'm being honest. Some stuff failed on me right in the middle of the live stream, and so I just had to abandon the whole thing and decide to start over. So, if you were with me through this whole time, one of the things that we've been dealing with is just kind of getting into um, look dev, right? And that is kind of the whole point of everything here is that we're developing a look. Now, the thing that I actually wanted to talk about a little bit here is the fact that you have to understand that if you're going to be in this industry successfully, um, failure is a huge part of how this whole thing works. Now, my wife will tell you that learning through failure isn't necessarily the best way to learn, and that's probably true, certainly. But it is definitely a way that you do learn, and it is one that in my opinion, is a large part. It's one of those things that you have to kind of build into the workflow. Now, when you work on something and you realize that's not the way I really wanted to do it, and if you start thinking backwards and go, okay, I could do it this way or I could do it that way, I would highly advise you to try and go back and redo stuff because what you tend to find is that if you've already done something once, to do it. It's quite frankly, even if you think something out without actually physically doing it, your brain's already done it for all intents and purposes. So redoing something will be probably 50% faster than the first time you've done it, and it will usually be better. And oftentimes you find things that are a better way of doing things. So I highly recommend just accepting the fact that you're going to make mistakes as you do this work, and just know that and kind of build that into your workflow. So, okay, now, and that is kind of the thinking behind what I'm doing here, right? So, when I'm doing a series on look development, um, that's literally what this is. This is about experimentation. It's about testing certain things. It's about making sure that things work the way that I want them to work. And so, look development is basically trial and error on some things. And so the thing that I want to get into today, I've been working on some ground textures. I've been working on making sure the trees are sort of working. This is one of the things that I want to do. So I'm showing you this screen right here, which actually, hang on, hang on. Why does it keep being okay? So I want to build this kind of a stream, okay, which is nice and quiet and smooth, and it's just a very subtly flowing stream, and that's cool. I like it. Now, also one of the things that I've shown you guys too last time, there is this little waterfall that I also want to try and make work too. And so there's a couple of different ways to do it. There is the cheap and cheerful way of doing it, which is what's built into Unreal as it is. There's water management tools that are already built in, and I'm going to show you how to use some of those. I've been doing some experimentation and getting myself ready to kind of demo some of this stuff. And then there's also another one that is actually a really good one, but it's quite expensive actually. I'm going to open up the games launcher here real quick. I'm going to jump into my library, and so there is also, come on, what's the name of it? No, Fluid Flux. Now this is about a $350 program, and it's actually quite cool. And so it's one of those things I'm actually eager to test it out, but I haven't had a chance yet. So what I'm going to do is the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of get into just the basics of laying out this quiet, smooth little stream here that I'm doing. Now, I think I've mentioned before that I've been doing 3D work for about 30 years. I started in Lightwave, and that's a long time ago. I moved into Maya. I've been in Maya for the better part of a decade, and and somewhat recently I got myself into Unreal, probably about a year ago. And and for me, it's like um, it's what I had always expected that 3D really should be. It's pretty easy to move stuff around. I really like it a lot, actually. But I'm still learning it, and I'm still getting into stuff that I'm like, huh, never tried that one before, and really loving what is actually built into Unreal. So now I had already built kind of this base scene, and this is where we're gonna do like this is the wall part right here. But one of the things that's different about Unreal that in terms of Maya, for example, is that you might build a whole ton of Maya scenes, and then maybe you reference certain things into another Maya scene. Unreal's a little bit different in regard to that kind of thinking. What you end up doing is you build one large Unreal file, and then you're going to build different game levels into it so that you can use those to experiment with, which I actually really like. And so, what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to create a new level, and it's just going to be an empty world here, and I'm going to use this as kind of my sandbox. So I'm going to create some stuff in regard to just water and stuff like that. So I'm going to open up. Where is it? It's the light mixer here. Okay, so I'm just going to throw in everything that we need here. Okay, and I'm going to go down to my fog here real quick, and I'm going to make it volumetric. Just turn that on. So yeah, so that's working as I wanted it to. Now, the next thing that I want to do is I'm just going to jump into landscape mode here, and I'm going to go ahead and create a landscape. I'm going to make it a little tighter mesh, which is what I want here, and I'm going to go ahead and create this, and it'll take a second. It'll do its thing. So come on, there we go. Okay, so now one of the things that I had done previously, I did some work over the weekend, and I'll show you here. I'm going to open up my content drawer. I had created a landscape texture here, which is basically the overall purpose here was I wanted to get a base texture for kind of like a leafy ground sort of thing. And then also, I'm planning on putting in a stream, right? So, but a stream is not a leafy ground. What it is it's river rock and things of that nature. So, I really want to try and get that going. So this is how this is going to work. So I'm going to just go into. So I got my content browser here. I'm going to bring it in, and I'm going to go back to content. And so this is my landscape. This is the instance, and I'm just going to select on my landscape, and I'm going to drop this in here um, into my material. Drop that right like that. Okay. Now, now this is intended to be just two different textures that I'm gonna work together with. There is ground and there's gravel. Okay, and ground is the kind of the leafy ground. Gravel is going to be the bed of my stream, right? So I'm gonna just go ahead and hit click plus right here and a non-weight blended layer, and you just go ahead and tell it to save, and it should okay, that's going to apply layer one, my ground layer, and then I'm going to go also, and I'm going to do the exact same thing for gravel here, non-weight blended, and for whatever reason it throws it over here. I'm going to save that too. Okay, so now I've got a general ground layer that I'm using here. Okay, and I like it. It's going to work. Now I'm going to go back into sculpt mode here really quick. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to kind of sculpt into the ground a little bit of a depression, which is going to be essentially the trench that I'm going to be using for for the gravel, okay, and for the creek, okay. And remember, this is what I'm shooting for: something really, really simple like this. Not deep, it's not fast moving. It's just a really, really lightly banked on the sides here. So I'm not going for something ridiculously deep here. So okay. Now, all I'm going to do is just I'm going to hold down. I'm in sculpting mode, and really gently, I'm going to hold down the shift key. Well, not gently on that, but and I'm just going to move along through here, and it's going to be kind of a curve and something like that. Okay, just a really lazy S sort of thing. You can see, and it's like if you were to kind of look at this as if it, you know um, kind of the trench, right, for my creek. That's what we'd be doing. Okay, so that's I like that. That'll work. Now, at the same time, what I need to do for this one, to go back to paint mode here, and I'm going to select on my gravel layer. Okay, and so now I'm going to do the exact same thing. So let's see here. I'm going to paint in, and it's painting in my gravel. Let me just check that out. It seems a little bit wide. It's decent, but I'm gonna make my brush size just a little bit smaller here, just so it kind of nests itself down in there. So let's try this one more time. All right, yeah, that's working. Something like that. Let's see if I got all what I wanted there. Yeah, that's good enough. So basically, what I've got here is I've got two different layers that are happening simultaneously here, and that's going to actually work. This is definitely in the ballpark of what I was looking for. So if I go back to my pure ref here, yeah, something like that. It's not super deep, and really, like, when you start looking at what these stones are, these are just a base. These have literally nothing to do with what I'm really going to do with it. I'm going to actually go into Quixel Bridge. I'm going to bring in other assets, and I'm going to do that sort of thing. So that's working, and that's essentially what I want. I'm going to go ahead and save this. Let's see here. Save current level. I will call this creek test. Okay. Now remember, again, as I'm doing this, this is all about look development. Okay, and I'm just trying to establish my techniques for doing something, and I'm actually happy with where we're getting here. So okay, that's thank you for all of that unnecessary information. Okay, so I've got that now. Now we're gonna bring in a water actor essentially, and I got to show you guys something here too. This is important actually. You definitely have to go into the plugins here, and I'm just going to type in water real quick. Okay. If you're going to try and do this, you got to turn on these two water plugins. Otherwise, this isn't going to work. And I also have to make a note here that it still says in nice bright purple that it's experimental, and that's fine. We're cool. We're happy with that. But that does mean that sometimes things don't work exactly the way you want them to. Um, in all truth, I did watch a tutorial on doing this exact same thing, and the guy was talking about the fact that it really is a little bit more stable in 5.3. I'm in 5.4.2, I believe, and I did run into a couple of things when I tested this earlier, but it's okay. I've got it generally managed here. So I'll show you. So I'm going to go ahead and I don't need to restart because I've already done, but you'll need to restart if that's what you're going to do. So I'm going to go into the place actors panel, and I'm just going to type in water. Okay. And we're going to bring in water body river, and I'm just going to drag and drop that in here. And of course, what it does, I'm going to close this up. But of course, what the river does is it turns itself entirely the wrong direction. So I'm going to rotate it around like this, and we're going to bring it back. Come on, be nice. There we go. Okay. Now you can see what it does here is it kind of puts a depression in the ground, which is fine. This whole thing is spline based, so I'm going to move the spline back to where I want it, and then you can just kind of right click on these and to select them, and then I'm just going to start moving this in place. I'm going to do the same with this one here, and I'm just going to move this one to the very end here, and oh, come on. Come on, don't be stupid. Why is this one being silly? Now I'm gonna put another one right here. Add spline point here, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and shove this one down a little bit farther, and then and I'm gonna take this guy here and I'm gonna move it a little bit farther down like this, so it ends up right at the end. Come on. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add another spline point here. So I've got this kind of S curve working. Okay. Now, what you can kind of see here is that this is sort of, oops, it's working ish. Okay. So at least I've got, you know, this flowing water. I would say that one of the things that I kind of need to deal with here on some of the stuff is I need to make it wider, or I mean a little bit narrower actually, because it's kind of spilling over what I want. And you can kind of see too when you put this river in, it sort of makes its own trench, and so I can live with that. I might end up going in and painting a little bit more, or I can click on if you click on the water body river, which is this thing, right? I'm going to go down into where it says spline comp here, and plan. I've lost my control of width. Huh. Yeah, I don't know where that went. Actually, it's weird. Hmm. I'm going to leave it as it is for the moment because I can't find it. But I want to bring in also. I'm going to go back to my content drawer. I've got what I had done in the previous one is I had loaded in a lot of content, and so I've got some trees that I'm going to bring in. And so I'll just grab this tree and I'm going to put it in right next to the surface. Okay. Now, this is actually kind of an interesting thing that you need to kind of deal with and I had I've said like I kind of worked on this a little bit earlier, and so one of the textures that I ran into was in I'll show you. So so this is so I've got it selected. You can see I've selected the river actor as it is right now, And what I'm going to do is you want to go and select on the water material. So I'm going to select that, right? Okay. And there's one in particular that you want to make sure you have turned on. It's called anisotropy. Okay. And so I'm just typing in the search bar anisotropy because I don't want to go through the whole thing. Now I'm going to shut it off right now so you can kind of see what it does. Okay. So with anisotropy off, okay, you get this really funky shadow on, there we go, on the surface of the water. And so, and because, the water itself is reflective, right? And so, and it's also kind of reading as if it's a piece of geometry, which it's not, but it is, but it's not. And so, water itself, yes, you'll get reflections on the surface of the water, but shadows don't really manifest themselves on the surface of the water. They kind of drive themselves down to the bottom of the water here. So you want to turn anisotropy on, okay? And it defaults. Again, I've been in here working, so it defaults to 0.1. I'm going to show you. This is what it's going to actually look like when you first do it. Okay, so at 0.1, you still have this weird shadowing on the surface, and that's not going to work, right? So you can start to scroll through it until you get something that you're happier with. I went way too far there. I was happy with zero point 0.9, and I'll show you. So you can see that there's really nothing on the surface of it. I'm going to go under the water here, and you can kind of see what happens. Right. So underwater now, what it's done is it's driven that shadow down below, and so I'm actually happy with that, as like that's the way it's supposed to look, and so I'm getting that I'm getting what I want. Now I'm going to move this tree a little bit so you can kind of see how the shadows differ on the other side. So I'm going to move it a little bit closer, and so the shadows look one way here, and then they're a little bit, and like as you're looking through the water, they're doing what we want them to do. So that's actually all. That's pretty cool. So this is a technique that I do intend to use when I start to go back. So I'm going to save this, and I'm going to go into my other scene, and I'm going to start to work on it a little bit. So um, now the next thing that I'm going to do, though, before I get into that other scene, is I'm going to turn this one off real quick. So I'm going to take my water, okay, and I'm going to turn it off so we're not looking at it right now. I want to test something else here, and what I'm going to do is I want to kind of build something similar to what I was doing in my other scene, which essentially is this. I'm going to go um, into my content drawer here. Now I had downloaded, and this is one of the things that I really like about using different levels within an Unreal scene, essentially, is that all of the materials that you bring in, they stay, right? So they stay in your content, and that's actually really cool. So I'm going to go back into Megascans. I'm going to show you kind of where I got some of this stuff. I've got 3D assets. I'm going to show you exactly. So I'm going to go into Quixel Bridge just so you can kind of see where some of these come from. Quixel is sort of moving today. You can get a lot of really good stuff. I did, come on, Icelandic Cliff. Okay, if you click on that, they've got some phenomenal assets that are actually scanned from Iceland. And man, I don't know if it's just on my end, but I always find Quixel just loads so slowly. But even just these previews. Okay, so there's some like huge Icelandic cliff. Um, and tons of different rocks and things like that are all really, really realistic. And so what I did was I exported them as now. It's super super close to them, and I'm really really happy with what I've done on those. Um, I'm going to try and play with fluid flux here to just kind of see if I can get a different result. I've never used it before, so that's my caveat. That's the testing that's going on here, right? So so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my content drawer and I'm going to go ahead and bring in some of the stuff that I've got. So and this is like the other one that I really really like that's connected to this Icelandic stuff is called Dolerite, and it's just a location, right? So Dolerite right here at the top. Okay, and there's just tons of rocks that look really really good. Okay, and that I highly recommend that you use. They're all working in 5.4, and that's great. So Dolerite's got some great stuff. That's just so you understand where I got some of this stuff. All right, so I'm gonna go into this one. Now this is a cliff face that's probably bigger than I want it to be. I'm gonna check a different one here. That's a surface. I like this one actually. Um, for whatever reason, it seems a little bit smaller than I want it to be. You can only see it from one. Yeah, okay. So you can, and because it's actually a cliff face that was actually scanned. I mean, for obvious reasons, or at least I hope they're obvious to you, they couldn't scan the backside because they would have had to drill into the into that. So you really only get one side here, which is fine. And I'm just going to put this essentially at the head of my little creek here. Okay, so I'm gonna drop it down into place. I'm gonna scale it up a little bit too because I want it to work. To do to do. I know this is a little bit like watching paint dry sometimes, but it is what it is, right? All right. So I'm just going to kind of put it in place here, and what I'm hoping to do is I want to bring in some fluid flux stuff. Just want to try and test it out and see if I can get the water to run down through like that, and that's exactly what it's supposed to do. So again, like I said, this is a the first time I've ever tried it. So this is you get to watch the testing phase, and so let's just make sure that I brought it in. Yeah, I did. Okay, cool. If I'm not mistaken, it works like this. And this may be where I just crashed everything, which would suck. But come on. Hmm. You know what? I'm going to need to do a little bit of work offline on this one. And so before I try to demo it, because this will be probably some of the most boring YouTube ever recorded if I'm sitting here, but I'm going to do some work on it for the next one. I'm definitely going to be showing off how we use fluid flux and can be able to compare the two. So um, my plan is to go live on Friday, and we're going to give that a shot. And hopefully by then I will have this will be looked at part 5, and then I'll show you exactly how some of the water works. So You guys, thanks for joining me today. It's been a lot of fun. I genuinely appreciate the fact that you guys support the channel. One thing that I will say just before I log off here, okay, just so you guys know, yeah, I do. I will say that I find it to be a little bit difficult sometimes to learn Unreal, um, kind of on your own. And I want to show you guys something here real quick. All right, so the school that I work for is the Digital Media Institute, and we are located in Shreveport, Louisiana. We have created a bunch of really good online programs. I do a 1 year series in animation and visual effects, and we use Maya, we use Unreal, we use Substance Painter, ZBrush. The entire workflow is what we teach, right? So that's a year-long course. People really love it. I love teaching it. But let's say you just want to learn Unreal. So we have, this is at tolearn.dmi.edu. Okay. So we've got our memberships. Let's see here. Memberships. We got a free membership, but we've got an Unreal Engine membership. Come on. And because it's Labor Day, we're going to do it. We're doing 30% off on it right now. And so if you want to learn Unreal and more than just like watching a guy talk about adding water and putting stuff in here, we have a multi-day Unreal class that will take you through all the segments of Unreal Engine. It'll really help you walk through building a project. And from my experience doing this kind of stuff, the only way to really learn is to get your hands in there and start working. But start working with a purpose, not just like, okay, well, I tried this tutorial, and I tried that tutorial. That doesn't, in my experience anyway, that doesn't really help you. Sometimes you need to have a goal and a goal that's guided by somebody that knows what they're doing. And this is a multi-day course. I think you're going to really like it. So go ahead and check that out. Excuse me. Again, that's tolearn.dmi.edu, and that's our Unreal Engine membership. And like I said, we are starting to run a Labor Day sale that's going to have 30% off. You'll see it on the site here shortly. We're doing the update literally as we speak. So, all right, guys, I'm going to sign off. I'll see you guys all next probably on Friday. So that's the plan. All right, thanks. Appreciate it.